The drama begins by explaining the Joseon dynasty ruled Korea for 600 years. Therefore, the absolute power they once held has now become just a class, meaning the elite, very rich, and noble people. Then, a prestigious school is shown named the Royal Academy. The results of the 2009 spring exam are released, and everyone is excited to see their ranking. Here we meet Min Seok, who belongs to the royal family. He checks the ranking board where Song Hiju comes first and he had come second. He gets quite irritated by this. Just then, the female lead, Song Hiju, enters. She teases Min Seok, "You lost again, just like every time. How much effort do you put in just to lose to me? Now that you have lost, accept it too." Min Seok tries to remind her of her status, saying, "You are not from a noble family." She says, "Watch your mouth when you talk, otherwise you will get beaten by me." Then, while fixing his shirt, she says, "Why don't you put in effort to win these days? I am not having fun defeating you. You don't even know how to wear a uniform properly, and yet you talk about being a nobleman." After saying this, Hiju insults him even more and leaves. After that, Hiju is called to the principal's office. The principal first praises her and then indirectly reminds her of her position. "Do you know why the king built this school?" She says, "So that everyone gets an equal opportunity." But the principal gives her the example of an antique cup made by Jang Young-sil, who was from a low-status family but was brilliant. Then he gives that cup to Hiju. In reality, he is taunting Hiju. In anger, Hiju throws that cup outside. In the present time, Hiju is now the CEO of a company named Castle Beauty. She is scolding the directors in a meeting. "Our sales have become lower than our competitors." The manager says, "To defeat us, they did a shoot with an actress, which increased their sales." Hiju says to them, "Whatever the method, their sales increased. Now we also have to apply their method. Therefore, contact that actress and increase the company's sales somehow." Her secretary tells her, "Today you have to go to the king's birthday celebration." Hiju says, "I will go to the palace and create a crazy buzz for my company." She gives orders to the PR team, "Make the articles, reels, and videos viral everywhere so that my name trends everywhere. So that our company's name is everywhere, showing the king called us to his birthday." On the way, her manager asks, "Are you really going to inherit the company?" She says, "Right now I have no such intention, but there is no harm in creating rumors." On the other hand, we meet Grand Prince Yeon. He has returned from hunting. His calm and dangerous personality is shown. He is reminded, "You have to go to the king's birthday event," and is asked, "Have you bought a gift for him?" He says, "I have been seeing blood since morning. I didn't get any time. Now I need to rest." The secretary says, "You cannot do this. You have to go to the event too." The palace scene starts where all royal members come in traditional dresses, but Hiju makes a dramatic entry in a red dress. In the palace, only the king wears red, so everyone is shocked. She gives poses with full confidence and instantly goes viral because she was looking different from everyone else. Her PR team makes her trend, and her company's products start getting sold out. Inside, some women talk about her. She is Chairman Seong's illegitimate eldest daughter. Hearing this, she breaks a glass in anger, looks at those women, and smiles, which makes them run away in fear. Just then, Hiju's half-brother taunts her, "Why are the company's sales low?" So Hiju says to him, "You worry about your own company." He says, "I am older than you. Show a little respect. People say the right things about you." She says, "To respect someone, they also need to be respectful, and my company is still at the top. No matter what you do, you cannot reach my level." Then everyone sits for dinner. The king is just an 8-year-old child. The queen mother is sitting next to him, and one seat is empty, which belongs to Grand Prince Yeon. He is effectively the king because the real king is still young, so all responsibility is on him. After a while, Yeon enters in a hunting outfit. Everyone is shocked. The queen mother scolds him, but he says, "This hunting dress was given by the king himself." The queen says, "But it's not even hunting season." He says, "Hunting has no season." Then he sits down, after which everyone else also sits down. The little king becomes very happy seeing him. The celebration starts. Fireworks, ceremonies. The king writes his wishes. "I wish for the health of my mother and Yeon, and for the happiness of the people." Hiju is watching the fireworks by the lake when Yeon is in front of her. Then she meets the prime minister. They both know each other from before. She makes fun of his dress, saying, "Your dress looks funny." So he says, "I am the president of the royal family, so I have to follow the rules." Then he praises Hiju. "The company is growing very well under your leadership. You wore this dress intentionally, didn't you? Because you know very well, wearing red in the palace is not allowed." She says, "Which law am I breaking?" but he says, be careful, otherwise a controversy might occur. In the next scene, a conversation takes place between Yi-an and Prime Minister Min. Min says to him, don't go anywhere like this without informing. Yi-an says, oh, why? Are you afraid that someone will kill me? He says, no, I am worried about your secretary. He cares for you a lot, so you should be a little careful. Then Yi-an asks, when are you getting married? Min says, how did you think of my marriage? Yi-an says, I am not talking about your marriage, but mine. Sister-in-law talks to me about this every day, saying, I want to kick you out of here. So, Prime Minister, you understand something quickly again, because the king cannot handle all the responsibilities yet. If I get married, I will have to leave the palace, and then the responsibilities will have to be taken by the Prime Minister. Min says, I cannot do all this. So Yi-an says, then stop my sister-in-law. A royal marriage needs permission from the cabinet, so use your power. Over there, while looking for a network, Hiju goes into a restricted area where she meets Yi-an. Yi-an says to her, who are you and what are you doing here? Hiju gets scared and says, I came here by mistake. Yi-an asks her name and her relationship with the palace. So Hiju tells him her name and says, I have no relation with the palace. Yi-an comes close to her and says, no one except those close to the palace is allowed here. So how did you dare to come here? Hiju bows her head. Yi-an warns her, saying, if you leave from here by the time I count to 3, I will forget this matter. Hiju says, really? So he says, I can do at least this much for my junior. Then he starts counting. As soon as he says 3, a blast sound comes from the palace. Panic spreads everywhere. People start running here and there. Seeing all this, Yi-an remembers the flashback of his brothers, meaning the older king's death, which happened in a fire incident. Worried, he starts looking for the little king. Just then, Min comes out with the queen mother. In anger, she slaps Yi-an. Seeing this, everyone is shocked. The queen mother says, do you want to take another king's life again? Everyone is surprised to hear this. Just then, the little king calls his mother. He is perfectly safe. Seeing all this, Hiju is quite confused. The fire is brought under control. Prime Minister Min tightens the palace security even more and orders the press be strictly controlled so that no rumors spread. The good thing is that no one was hurt in this fire incident. Everything has come under control. But Min has doubts about this incident because 3 years ago, the previous king died in a similar fire incident. Everything had just become stable in the royal family, and for this to happen again so soon does not seem normal at all. Saying this, he tells the security to stay alert and leaves. Hiju also comes out, where her secretary, Hiju, asks her, how did you come out so quickly? Hiju tells her, there was a fire incident. Hiju immediately starts asking about Grand Prince Yi-an. Is he okay? Hiju teases her. Are you perhaps his fan? Then both leave for home. On the way, Hiju asks, do you have any past issue with Yi-an? Did he used to bully you in school, which is why you don't like him? Hiju says, no one can bully me. Then she says, I just don't like him like that. And from here, a flashback of 2009 starts. During Royal Academy time, Hiju comes to the archery range secretly at night to practice, but not a single arrow hits the target. Just then, Yi-an comes from behind and stops her. He says, if you've made a mistake, then accept the punishment. Hiju tells her name and says, I am a 9th grade student of Jujak House. Yi-an reminds her of the rules. Coming out after 11 p.m. is forbidden, and using school property without permission is also breaking the rules. Hiju also gives a smart reply. You are also here, so you will get punished too. Then, Yi-an shows an approval letter. Hiju says, I stole the archery key from Min Seok because he used to show off. She says, I want equal opportunity. If rivals get facilities, then I will also take them. Yi-an says, will you fall to their level for this? Hiju says, it's better to win by wrong methods than to lose without practice. Then she leaves, but while leaving, she also greets politely. Yi-an smiles slightly. Returning to the present, Hiju remembers him and says how rude he was. The next day, the queen mother comes to meet Yi-an and says, I am sorry for slapping you in anger. Yi-an says, Prime Minister was going to take some action, but I will handle it. The queen mother says, everyone only worries about you, whereas the real concern should have been the king. Even yesterday, no one was worried about the king. Instead, everyone was saying, I am anxious about the cut on your face. Yi-an replies, why do you always blame me? She says, because you make all the decisions instead of the king. Yi-an says, I am only doing my duty as a guardian. I have no power. But the Queen Mother has a problem with his influence because his power seems even more than the king's. At his one word, everyone becomes alert. The Queen Mother feels Yi An has taken the king's place. Hearing this, Yi An remembers his childhood when his father was not happy even when he got full marks. He had said, "I am the born prince, the crown prince," meaning it was decided from childhood he would never become the king. In the present, he asks her, "What do you want from me?" So she says, "I want you to always stand with the king." He says, "That is what I am doing." At which the Queen Mother says, "If you are really with a king, you should marry the girl of my choice." On the other side, Hiju's father also brings a proposal for her, but she straight away refuses. She doesn't like that boy at all because his company was very small. She says, "I want a guy of my equal level." Her half-brother and sister-in-law indirectly insult her. "This is the best match for you." They talk about her illegitimate identity. Hiju understands, they want to kick me out of the family this way, but Hiju says, "I will never marry this guy." On the other side, Yi An tells Min about his marriage, so Min says, previously she was against it, so why does she want to do it now? Over there, Hiju is thinking about the marriage matter, and an idea comes to her. Therefore, she starts looking for a perfect match for herself. She gets profiles of politicians and businessmen checked, but no one seems to be of her level. Getting frustrated, she says, "I just want a person of my equal status." Here, Yeon leaves to go to his private residence. Outside, he meets the Queen Mother's father. Hearing he is going to his private residence, he says, "What will happen to your security if some trouble comes to you there?" He says, "I thought you would be happy with my leaving, but I am surprised to see you worrying about me." Then he leaves from there. The Queen Mother says to her father, "I think the fire incident in the palace was caused by Yi An," but no one says anything to him. Her dad says, "Grand Prince Yi An is liked by people. Even after losing his parents and brother, he is protecting the family crown as his brother's son's guardian. Therefore, you should not doubt him." In the next scene, Yi An is trending in Hiju's office and everyone is talking about him. Hiju also reads the articles and says, "He is not that bad." Then she thinks of something and smiles. Then Hiju announces, "I am thinking of marrying Yi An." Her secretary Haijung says in shock, "You cannot do this." But she says confidently, "For a smart, beautiful, and rich girl like me, Yeon is the best match." She sends a royal audience request to meet him, but Yeon rejects that request every time. Hiju tries up to 10 to 15 times, but every time she is rejected. On the other side, the Queen Mother is very angry at Yeon not meeting any girl for marriage. Then Hiju remembers, "Yeon called me junior on the birthday night." This time she sends a request as a junior. When Yeon finds out, she sent a request as a junior. First, he is surprised, then he smiles slightly and accepts the request. Hiju becomes very happy and after getting ready, reaches his private residence. This news also reaches the Queen Mother because there is a spy in the private residence. Finally, both meet face to face. Yeon says, "I don't understand which name to call you by because you have sent requests with so many names." Then he asks, "Why did you want to meet?" Hiju calmly takes out a red letter from her bag, places it in front of him and says, "I have come to propose to you. Let's get married." Yeon is left completely shocked hearing this. In the end, a past scene is shown, where it is revealed both had noticed each other before, and after the archery incident, Hiju was very scared. "I will be kicked out from here." Just then, her friend tells her about a new rule. Yi An has had the rule changed so that the archery range stays open for everyone so that everyone gets an equal chance. Hiju is surprised to learn this. Then the 2009 flashback is shown in which an archery competition is going on in the Royal Academy. Hiju and Min are in the red house, while Grand Prince Yeon and Yumin Seon are in the blue house. Min says Hiju is not good, but Yeon gets angry and immediately scolds him to shut up. The match starts, and in every round, Yeon's team keeps leading while Hiju's team is only 1 point behind. Yeon's father, meaning the king, has also come to watch the match, but he is not very happy, saying, "I am not happy with Yeon's performance," which Yeon clearly notices. The last round comes. Yeon's team is at 102 points and Hiju's team is at 101. Hiju shoots her last arrow and gets 9 points. Her team reaches 110. Now everyone's eyes are on Yeon. He shoots the arrow, and here the flashback ends. Returning to the present, Hiju proposes to Yeon for marriage. Yeon smiles and asks, "What are the terms and conditions of this proposal?" Hiju says casually, "I have a lot of money." Yeon laughs and says, "I thought you would say something creative." Hiju says, "In an arranged marriage, only money, status, and family are looked at." She tells her qualities: intelligent, successful, strong personality. She also mentions her dumb brother. He will not become a problem. Then she says, "I have a thick skin." meaning criticism does not affect her. Because of my illegitimate identity, I have heard a lot since childhood, so I don't have any problem with anyone's words. Therefore, I will protect you like a human shield from criticism. And after the contract ends, I will take a divorce and I will take the blame for it myself. Lastly, he asks, is there anything else? And she says, there is beauty too. What else do you need? Outside, a maid named Iram is trying to listen to their conversation, but Yeon's secretary catches her. On the other side, the Queen Mother is also looking for a girl for Yeon. The next day, Hiju comes to the office full of excitement. Haejung asks, did Yeon say yes? Hiju says, he rejected me. In a flashback, Yeon says, I value something else more than money, beauty, and intelligence. Hiju asks, and what is that? To which he says, if I tell you, will you be able to give it to me? In the present, Haejung asks, what did Yeon want? And she says, he wants to marry for love. Haejung says, the Grand Prince is quite romantic. To which she says angrily, I will still try. I deliberately gave such a bold proposal because I think Yeon will like a rebellious girl like me, as he himself doesn't follow any rules. Then Hiju uses her connections and gets Yeon's entire schedule. She meets him at the horse riding field and says flirtingly, it's only been 2 days since we met, yet I was missing you. By the way, how are you here? You must be riding in the royal garden. He says, I feel a bit suffocated there. So she says, you might feel suffocated here too when I'm around. Then she blinks her eye at him and leaves from there. The next day, she meets him at the restaurant too. Then cat shelter, jogging, drive. She follows him everywhere. Yeon says, why do you follow me everywhere? She says, because you said you want to marry for love. She then gives him flying hearts, which makes Yeon feel a little awkward. But inside, he starts becoming conscious and begins taking care of his dressing because he wants to look good to Hiju every day. Meanwhile, Hiju is forcibly sent on a blind date at the Royal Art Gallery. There is a boy named Jun. Hiju intentionally says, I am only here for money, so that he runs away. She says openly, my art foundation is for money laundering. Then she straight away asks, when should we get married? Jun steps back because of this attitude of hers. Just then, Yeon arrives there and sees them both. Seeing this, he feels a bit strange. Yeon comes and tells him, Hiju immediately found a new boy after being rejected. This thing clearly does not please Yeon. The assistant also says, I thought the Queen Mother had sent Hiju. Yeon says, that cannot happen. My sister-in-law will never choose her. The assistant says, Hiju's temperament is very strong and she never loses. Yeon smiles slightly because he has seen this himself. The assistant says, there is a lot similar between her and you. Then a dark flashback reveals 3 years ago, the king wanted to leave his throne and even wrote a letter for it. But the Queen Mother burns his letter in anger. From that same fire, a fire starts in the palace in which the king dies. Yeon reached there very late. Since then, he gets nightmares because of which he cannot sleep peacefully. In the present, Yeon's health is a bit bad. On the other side, the junior king has to attend an award ceremony without Yeon. Therefore, he is very nervous, so the Queen Mother motivates him. You can do everything, even without Yeon. Hiju has also come to that award ceremony. The junior king was sitting alone and worried. His security guards were also busy chatting and ignoring him. Just then, Yeon arrives there and takes their class. Seeing him, the junior king becomes very happy because he was the one who called Yeon by phone. He then holds his hand and takes him on stage. The ceremony starts where Hiju gets the Best Entrepreneur Award. The junior king gives her the honor and Yeon gives her a bouquet. Hiju says to him again, I missed you. This time, Yeon blushes slightly but controls himself. Later, Hiju posts photos on social media with hashtags, including Grand Prince Yeon with a heart emoji. When Min finds out Hiju got the award, he leaves for the venue to congratulate her. Yeon also sends the junior king back to the palace, then his health worsens, so he stays at the hotel. Hiju also stays at the hotel. Min meets her and says, congratulations. Then both go for lunch together. Actually, Min likes Hiju. On the other side, Yeon's assistant has come out to get medicine for him. As soon as he comes to the hotel, he is surprised to see Hiju in the hotel. Then, at Yeon suddenly fainting, he gets worried and tells Hiju about this. So, she calls a trusted doctor and gets Yeon's checkup done. As they are about to leave after checking Yeon, Hiju tells them, keep this matter a secret. Over there, the Queen Mother is angry at the junior king because even in the ceremony, everyone's focus was only on Yeon. To her, the junior king seems cowardly like her husband. On the other side, the assistant says to Hiju, I was very panicked. The Grand Prince had even forbidden me from telling anyone. Just then, he finds out about the Queen Mother coming there. So he tells Hiju, hide quickly. She enters straight into Yeon's room. Yeon comes out in a bath dress. Seeing the Queen Mother, he goes back to his room to change his dress. Now the Queen Mother sees a lady's wallet there. Therefore, she immediately goes to Yeon's room, where she sees Hiju. So, in anger, she tells Yeon, come to the royal palace to explain this. The next morning, Hiju gets a call from her secretary. She forbids her from coming out of the room. Articles are being written about Yeon and Hiju everywhere. Fake news about their affair, marriage, and even pregnancy goes viral. Hiju starts laughing after reading all this. The Queen Mother is happy seeing this because now Yeon's image can be ruined. This planning was hers. But Hiju is not worried at all. Her secretary says, how are you so chill? Don't you know Grand Prince Yeon is an important figure in our country? He has so many fans, they can give you a tough time. But it doesn't matter to Hiju. Yeon then leaves to go to his private residence and also calls Hiju to meet. Both talk face to face. Yeon apologizes and asks, what do you want? Hiju says, can you give me what I want? Yeon says, I am asking seriously. So she says, what I want is quite difficult to get. Then to propose to him, she gives him something packed in a red cloth which has the flower of honor. This is the same award she got in the 2009 archery match. It is revealed that in that match, Yeon had intentionally missed the last shot so that Hiju would win. Hiju says, I found out on that day itself. She says to him, you lost intentionally that day, didn't you? If I were in your place, I would have never done that. Then she says, my life has been a struggle. And also about her brother's foolishness. He has lost a lot in business, but still he is preferred only because he is the legitimate son and I am the illegitimate daughter. Because he married into a powerful family, his position is strong. That is why I also want to marry into a powerful family. Yeon asks, do you want to marry only for my title? Hiju says, yes, because without this title, I have lost many opportunities. Yeon says, then get ready to become the Grand Prince's wife, because you will have to face the whole country. Hiju gives a confident smile. He then says, before that, we have to see what you can do. Hiju says, should I donate money to the royal palace? Yeon says, no. Change the public opinion. The public opinion was formed because of this scandal, because the palace will say, we will not say anything on this matter. Hiju says, you had scared me, but this is quite easy. Then she puts her PR team to work. In the evening, Yeon takes Hiju to the royal palace. The media is outside and Yeon holds her hand and takes her inside, which creates headlines. Hiju's PR team makes articles, reels, YouTube videos, and even makeup tutorials like Hiju's makeup won Grand Prince Yeon's heart. Then the Queen Mother calls Yeon, so he sends Hiju to his room to rest. The Queen Mother says to Yeon, you should apologize for this scandal and deny this relationship. But Yeon says, I have come here to confirm the relationship and announce the marriage. Hearing this, the Queen Mother is not happy. Yeon knew she was the one behind that scandal. Then he goes toward his room. There, Hiju is feeding the Junior King noodles. He finds it a bit spicy. Yeon comes and sends him to the room. Then he explains to Hiju, the Queen Mother will never be ready for the marriage. Hiju says, this was expected, and jokingly asks, if there is a fight between me and the Queen Mother in the future, whose side will you take? He says, yours, because I have to show people that I love you. I can even go against my family for you. Only then will they believe in our marriage. Then he gives her his royal ID for emergencies. He then stays in his room with Hiju after arguing with the court lady. Both sleep on the bed with cushions in between, but a funny fight takes place over the blanket. Hearing their voice, the court lady understands something else. The next day, Hiju goes to the office and intentionally wears the same dress so that everyone thinks she came straight from the royal palace to the office. Over there, the Junior King is scared because of his father's nightmares, so he reassures him of his presence. Over at Hiju's office, Min comes and asks, are you really marrying Yeon? Hiju says, yes, and asks, the Queen Mother will not let me marry Yeon, so you will have to approve this marriage since you have the approval power. In the next scene, some crazy fangirls throw eggs at Hiju, but Hiju handles them calmly. On the other hand, Min confesses in the church, I don't want Hiju to get married. Then Hiju comes to her office and her father has come there. When Hiju came to her father in childhood, at that time, her father's first wife died due to the grief. He cheated on me. Therefore, her father never liked her. He gave her a place in the house, but never gave her acknowledgement and love. Despite all this, Hiju worked very hard to prove herself and grew his company a lot. Today, her dad has come to tell her, leave that company. She asks them, what will you do if I don't do that? So the dad says, I will kick you out of the family. She says, try it and see, it's not possible. Now, after the dad leaves, she is sitting very sad. Just then, she gets a call from Yeon. He understands her condition from her voice. Therefore, after a little while, her house doorbell rings. She checks and Yeon is in front. She is shocked to see him. He had brought food for her. She asks, "Did you get it packed yourself?" He says, "Yes." A cute moment happens between them. She tells him the whole event of the day. "Your fans threw eggs at me." He says, "Did you get hurt anywhere?" Hiju stops while looking at him. On the other side, the Queen Mother starts an investigation after seeing Hiju in the footage of the birthday night because the footage showed Hiju had gone into a restricted area. Meanwhile, Yeon brings Hiju to his private residence where everyone welcomes her. At night, both talk and Yeon says, "This is why I chose to marry you." He says, "You are very rich." The second reason is beauty. She says, "I said all that myself. What is the third reason?" He says, "I will be your shield." Then he says, "No, if everyone is against me someday, you will understand me." The next day, when Yeon is busy in royal rituals, the Queen Mother sends guards and gets Hiju arrested. Hiju handles the situation smartly and sends a message to Yeon. Yeon comes there and talks to the Queen Mother. She says many things against Hiju. She came wearing a red dress that night, and anyway, she is against the royal family. She was seen in the restricted area before the fire incident. This is enough to ruin her image. He says, "Then you should also investigate me," which makes the situation tense, but Hiju fakes fainting, so Yeon picks her up and says to the Queen Mother, "If you want to ask anything, come to my office." Then he takes Hiju away from there. Even after coming to the residence, Hiju keeps acting like she's fainted, so he says to her, "Stop your acting now." She says, "Will I have to go to jail now? Is Yeon afraid?" He says, "Why? Are you afraid?" She says, "Me? Afraid? This is a common thing for me. I'm just thinking about which law firm I will use." He says, "Don't worry. The Queen Mother cannot do anything to you directly." She says, "What a scene it was when you took my side in front of the Queen Mother. Now there must be a lot of gossip about me in the palace." Yeon says, "No one gossips like that in the palace, but in reality, everyone in the palace is telling each other. Yeon loves Hiju so much." In the evening, Yeon drops her home. She tells him to take care of himself. At night, he calls her and both talk cutely. Yeon says, "Now you will have security guards with you." She says, "You are giving me protection even before marriage?" He says, "Why can't I?" She says, "It shouldn't be Ari." Maybe it's a crazy stunt of Yeon, who is madly in love. Yeon says, "Yes, you can say that." She says, "Should I do something crazy too?" She then reaches the palace in her car and calls Yeon out. They meet secretly. He says, "I didn't think I would ever do something like this." She says, "If we do this, they will think we are really in love." She brings tea and supplements for him so that he can sleep properly. Seeing all this, he says, "I didn't tell you to bring all this." She silences him and says, "After you fainted, you haven't had your checkup, right?" Yeon is very happy seeing her care. She says, "Don't you think I will be a supportive wife?" He says, "Yes." Then a kiss happens between them. After a little while, she says, "A reporter is taking our photo a little distance behind you. Shall we try again so that they can get our photo from a good angle?" After saying this, she starts showing how to kiss from different angles. Seeing this, Yeon starts laughing and keeps looking at her with love. The next morning, Yeon comes to the royal court where everyone in the palace is saying, "Last night's kiss has appeared in articles." So Yeon says in front of his ministers, "We will have to give an official statement now." A minister says, "This will not be right. It's a matter of your respect." Yeon says, "Are you people thinking that I will deny everything? That will not happen. And if a grand prince kisses a girl and then says nothing was serious, then what respect will I have left?" Mr. Imong says, "That girl is not from a noble family. On top of that, she is illegitimate." Before he says more, Prime Minister Min says, "Issue a statement as Yeon said. This scandal belongs to the Grand Prince, so we will have to do damage control. You will clearly confirm that there is no possibility of marriage right now. You both have just met recently, and there has been no talk of marriage. This will not increase confusion." Everyone agrees, but then the Queen Mother's dad says Hiju should be removed from Yeon's private residence. Yeon refuses for safety reasons. He says, "It's possible we might separate, or in the future she could become my wife." Min says, "If Hiju stays there, then Yeon will have to stay in the palace so that rumors don't spread." Along with this, the official statement is released. The Queen Mother gets angry, but her father says he will handle everything. It is also broadcast on news channels. Yeon and Hiju are only in a dating phase. The marriage matter is not confirmed. Hiju and other people are watching this on TV. Yeon comes to the office and Hiju says, "I knew this would happen. That's why I said let's kiss again. That angle was not right. That scene was like kids kissing." Marketing works when it's either very attractive or so bold that it cannot be ignored. This dating phase will not work. Seeing Hiju's lips, Yeon remembers the kiss. Hiju holds his face and says, "The sooner we marry, the sooner we can get a divorce." Yeon says, "A royal wedding is not simple, it has many steps." Hiju says, "I don't have that much time to waste." Then coming close to him, she says, "I want to take you somewhere." She comes ready, but Yeon doesn't like her special dress, so she wears a normal dress. In the car, Hyun says, "The dress is very plain." Hiju thinks it was said for Yeon, so she says, "Yes, a bit too much." He says, "I was talking about your dress." Hiju looks in the mirror and says, "How pretty I am looking." Yeon starts laughing at her words. Then they go to watch a baseball match where Hiju brings matching jerseys, but Yeon cannot wear it because he represents the royal family. Hiju gives that jersey to his assistant, but Yeon takes it from him. In the stadium, Hiju's brother and sister-in-law meet, who show a lot of love seeing Yeon. Then the match starts, and Min makes the first throw, which Hiju cheers for. At this, Yeon feels jealous. Min sits near them. Hiju pushes Yeon aside, which makes Yeon feel bad. Hiju tells him to eat food, but Min says, "A grand prince cannot eat such food." Hiju asks, "Will I also have to follow this after marriage?" Just then, the crowd starts shouting, "Kiss, kiss," because they appear in the kiss cam. Yeon refuses, but the crowd cheers more. Yeon says, "You were the one who wanted to speed everything up, so do it." Hiju blushes and writes on her phone, "A grand prince cannot kiss openly like this because the grand prince has to maintain his dignity." Later, they come out while being covered by the media. Hiju keeps waving and says, "If you cover us like this, how will the photos come out?" Min invites her for dinner. Hiju tells Yeon, "Go to the palace," but he says, "I am also coming with you." In the restaurant also, Yeon could not eat anything. Min says, "That's why you should not marry him, because after marriage, you will also have to do the same." Hiju asks, "What are the restrictions?" So Yeon remembers a childhood flashback where he wore his brother's royal clothes and his father slapped him and forbade him from wearing red because only the crown prince can wear red. In the present, Yeon doesn't say anything and serves food to Hiju. After returning to the palace, the court lady scolds her and says Hiju will have to learn royal manners. The next day, the court lady comes to give training to Hiju, but Yeon saves her by making an excuse. Hiju says she will handle it. Later, shopping and then royal lessons start where Hiju reacts in a funny way. When Yeon comes, Hiju hugs him and says, "Save me." Yeon sends the court lady back. The next day in a history lesson, Hiju finds out there were deaths in Yeon's family and becomes emotional. She goes to the room and researches everything and feels for Yeon. She calls him, but Yeon is with the queen mother, who introduces him to a noble girl. Yeon understands their plan and, hearing her excuse of illness, stops her from meeting anyone outside. This way, he isolates the queen mother. Coming to the office, he calls Hiju. Hiju says, "I am always with you. Husband and wife should always stand on one side." Yeon becomes happy and plans to meet her. Here, the junior king is in school. Then, while going for a history class with Min, he says, "I want to play like normal children too." Therefore, Min brings him to Hiju. She makes him play games. And after winning a game, he says, "I want to take a ride in your red car. Only you have it in Korea, and I like it very much." The court lady refuses, but he starts crying, so Hiju and everyone agree. Hiju drives the car, but the brakes fail. The speed increases. Min says there is a problem and helps. Hiju tries to control the car on the bridge, and finally, a car comes in front and stops her. The car stops and they are saved. Then, Yeon comes out from the car in front. He has stopped Hiju's car with his own car, after which they are all taken to the royal hospital. Here, the queen mother also gets the news. There has been an accident. So she reaches the royal hospital. Outside, she meets Min, so she asks him, "How is the king? And how did this attack happen to him?" Min tells her, "It's not a big deal. He has just a few minor scratches." Then she goes to see her son, where she asks Min about Yeon. Min tells her, he is in the surgery room right now and has a lot of injury on his left shoulder. Just then, a security head calls Min outside, where he tells him photos of this accident are being posted on the internet and people have found out it is Miss Hiju's car because there is only one such car in Korea. So Min asks him about Hiju. The security head says she is also unconscious, but she also hasn't received any major injury. Now the queen mother hears all these words of theirs, so she comes and asks them, "What does Hiju have to do with this? Was the king in Hiju's car?" Hearing this, she starts to leave in anger. So Min stops her and says, "You should not do anything right now, because people so far know that Hiju's car had an accident. If people find out that the king was in that car, and the grand prince caused an accident to save him and damaged so much infrastructure, then whose name will come up in all this? The king's. Therefore, it is better to do nothing for now." The queen mother says, "Are you doing all this to save that girl?" Min says, "No, to save the royal family." Here, Yeon's surgery becomes successful. The doctors say he will get well soon. After a while, the junior king goes to Hiju's room to meet her. Seeing her in this state, he feels very bad, so he holds her hand to say sorry. Just then, Hiju regains consciousness. So as soon as she wakes up, she starts asking the Junior King, "Are you okay? Did you get hurt?" The Junior King says, "I am perfectly fine. I was worried about you because all this happened because of me. I was the one who insisted, so we had to go in the car." Hiju explains to him, "There was no fault of yours in this." Then she asks about Yi An. The Junior King tells her, "He is in the surgery room right now. He had an injury in the shoulder." Hearing this, Hiju comes running to Yi An's room and after asking about his condition says, "What were you thinking? Why did you jump in front of my car like that?" Hyan says, "Don't shout. He has just regained consciousness." But Hiju, not paying any attention to his words, touches Ian's face and says, "Your face got injured. Now how will you go out with this?" Ian says, "You were also unconscious." Hiju says, "I am fine now." Then he goes to touch her head because a bandage was applied to her forehead, so Hiju steps back. Yi-an tells her to come close, so Hiju sits near him. Yi-an looks at her forehead and asks, "Did you get hurt anywhere else?" Hiju says, "No, I am fine." Then she tells him, "Don't do this again. I want you to stay safe and sound always. This time you were lucky. Think if your life were in danger, then not just eggs would be thrown at me." Yi-an says, "Then don't put yourself in such a situation." Hiju says, "I cannot promise that." He says, "Then I can't either." Hiju says, "Now, this is getting a bit much. You are behaving as if you really love me a lot." Then she says, "This is something that will be in the headlines. Grand Prince Yi-an saved Hiju by risking his own life." Hearing this, he smiles. Here, news about Hiju's accident appears on the news, but due to overspeeding and breaking traffic rules, the share prices of Castle Group start falling. Here, her secretary Jung comes to meet Hiju. She first asks, "How is your health?" Then shows her, the company's share prices are falling. Then she tells her, "The chairman has called to meet you as soon as you are discharged." Hiju asks, "Do they know about my accident and that I got hurt?" She says, "Yes, they know." So Hiju says, "Neither dad nor brother called." Jung asks, "How did this accident happen?" Hiju says, "The brakes of my car were not working." Hearing this, Jung says, "Then I will quickly do a press release with the footage of the car's dash cam." Hiju forbids her for this and tells her, "At that time, the king was with me in the car, so we cannot put the dash cam footage." Jung gets worried and says, "You should seriously think about this again. You should cancel this marriage because ever since you decided this, something or the other has been going wrong with you." Hiju says, "But Yi-an only saved my life." Jung says, "What is going on? Aren't you guys doing too much? I mean, after 3 years, you guys are going to take a divorce." Just then, Min hears this talk there, so Jung goes outside. Min asks Hiju, "What was all this? A lie?" Hiju says, "I wouldn't say it's a complete lie, but it's a contract marriage type where people marry for their own benefits, which is not a big deal." Min says, "But do you even know how much danger there can be in being involved with the palace?" Hiju says, "I am fine and I know. I proposed this to Yi-an after thinking carefully." Min says, "Are you marrying him only for status?" Hiju says, "Yes, what else?" At this, Min says, "Then marry me. Marry me instead." Here, the Queen Mother brings the king to the palace, even though the doctor had told the Junior King to rest. But because Yi-an had to return to the palace to fulfill his royal duties, the Queen Mother doesn't want people to gossip the king himself is not in the palace. Therefore, she also brings the Junior King to the palace. Then Hiju calls Yi-an, but he does not pick up her call. Hiju says, "He should have told me about his discharge at least." Jung says, "He didn't say anything to me either when I last saw him in the hospital outside your room." Hiju asks, "When did you see him?" Jung says, "When you were talking with Prime Minister Min inside," from which she understands. Perhaps he had heard Mai and Min's conversation when Min said, "If you have to marry for status, then marry me." After this, she goes to Yian's private residence. There, the staff says, "He has just told you to go home." She calls Yan, but he again doesn't pick up the call, so she starts to leave. Just then, Yan tells her, the Grand Prince has also told to return his royal ID tag, so Hiju returns it and leaves. Then we see Yan, who was not picking up Hiju's call. Then we find out he had indeed heard Hiju and Min's talk. Just then, a message from Hiju comes, "Whatever you have to say it directly to me." So the next day, he calls Hiju to the royal palace. Before going to his office, she meets the Queen Mother, who says to her, "It's good I didn't have to teach you anything because royal things are not understood by everyone." Saying this, she leaves. Then Hiju comes to Yeon's office where she asks him, "Why did you kick me out of your house? Was it because of the Queen Mother or because of Min? Did you hear any of our talk?" He says, "What talk?" So Hiju says, "Leave that. You tell me why you kicked me out." He tells her, "Someone had tampered with your car." because of which this accident happened. It is being traced. We will catch them soon. Then he says, I have thought of changing the plan. Let's cancel the marriage plan. Hiju says, but why? Because of the accident? But I was also a victim in that. Someone spoiled my car. That's why the accident happened. Yi-an says, exactly. That's why we should not have this marriage. If I marry a girl like you who breaks every rule and who already has enemies, then it can become a threat to the royal family. Hearing this, Hiju feels very bad. She comes out and calls Hae-jung and tells her, go to the car's service center and find out who had worked on the car. So Hae-jung reaches the car service center. In the next scene, Hae-an asks Yi-an, why did you cancel the marriage? He says, for Hiju's safety. Then we see his childhood flashback. One evening, he was returning to the palace with his mother. He was in the car with Court Lady Choi behind them. He calls his mother and says, brother has asked to bring fried chicken. So they were going to get chicken. Just then, a truck hit his mother's car, which led to their death. So he considers himself responsible for his mother's death because he was the one who told her to bring chicken. Similarly, when Hiju's car's brake failed, he saved her life without caring for his own life because he didn't want to lose her like his mother. But for this too, he was blaming himself. Hae-an says, it's not your fault. That was just an accident. Then another flashback is shown where Min said Hiju's car was tampered with intentionally and the target could be the king too, or Hiju. In the present, Yi-an says, I have canceled this marriage to protect Hiju. Then he tells Hae-yeon to prepare a gift for Hiju. Then we find out about an event in the palace called the Inner Court Banquet, in which only royal families and noble families' women participate, which increases their name a lot. So Hae-yeon brings its invitation for Hiju too. She says, but only royal and noble women can come to this. Hae-yeon says, there is no such criteria. Hiju says, but this has been happening for 600 years. He says, change comes slowly, doesn't it? Hiju says, okay, but why am I suddenly getting an invitation? He says, recently you experienced a lot of bad things, so you were called. Hiju says, oh, so all this is being done to look good in front of the public. Hyun had also brought a dress for her called a dangi, which was pink in color. He tells her, the Queen Mother is going to wear white, so it will be good if you come wearing this. Hiju refuses to come. Hearing this, Hae-jung and Hyun are both surprised. Hyun says, Grand Prince has personally made this request, but Hiju says, no thank you, and sends him away. So Hyun comes and tells this to Yi-an. Then we find out that before meeting Hiju, the Queen Mother had come to meet Yi-an. The Queen Mother says, you kicked Hiju out of your house. What do you want to do? Yi-an says, I am protecting her. After her name was linked with the royal family, a lot of bad things have been happening to her. So I have done this for her safety, at which the Queen Mother says, then ensure that her name does not remain linked with the royal family. At this, Yi-an says, that is also my intention. I am canceling my marriage with Hiju. But in return, you will have to invite her to the Inner Court Banquet because I don't want her to face any problem because of me. After that, Hiju gets called many times to meet Yi-an, but Hiju is refusing every time. Yi-an says, what has happened to her? Hae-yeon says, you dumped her, so will she welcome you from the front? Over there, no news is found of that mechanic from the car service center who worked on Hiju's car. So Hiju says, check at the convenience store in front of the service center, thinking he must have taken something or the other from the store. Just then, a message from Yi-an comes to her. So the next day, she goes to meet Yi-an, where he says to her, why don't you want to come to the Inner Court Banquet? Are you afraid? Don't worry, I will prepare everything. Hiju says, why? I break rules every day, don't I? And I have enemies at every step. You risked your life to save me, but now you're canceling our marriage. So why are you calling me to the Inner Court Banquet? Yi-an says, I am just trying to protect you. Even our engagement hasn't happened, and there are attacks on you already. As soon as the news of our breakup comes out, something even worse can happen. Therefore, before that, I want you to join the Inner Court Banquet. I just want no danger to come to you. Is it so difficult for you to believe this? Hee-jo calls him a coward and gets up and picks up the bow and arrow kept behind and, aiming at his cat, says, you like cats a lot, don't you? So try and save them because I am going to attack them. Hearing this, Yi-an gets up and snatches the bow and arrow from her, which also injures his hand. So Hiju holds his hand and says, this is how one protects by facing difficulties, by fighting back, not by backing down. After saying this, she ties a cloth on his hand. Yi-an says, you haven't learned to bow down, have you? She says, and you have only learned to bow down. That's why you lose even to those below you. I have only asked for your status from you. There is no place in the world to bow down. So don't bow down in front of anyone at someone else's command. Never back down and never compromise. This way, you and I will get what we want. In the next scene, we see Min, who is remembering Hiju's words when he told Hiju, you marry me. Then she had said, why should I marry you? Min says, if you have to marry for status, then marry me. Hiju says, you are prime minister only for 5 years. After that, there's no guarantee that you will be again. But Yeon is different. Even if we divorce, he will remain royal his whole life. So Min is thinking about this. On the other side, Yeon is missing Hiju, so he calls her and says, the invitation has already been sent to you, so please come, this is for you. So Hiju says sorry to him for the injury to his hand today. Yeon also says sorry to her for breaking the promise by talking about canceling the marriage. So the next day, Hiju says, yes, I will come to the banquet. At night, Yeon calls her and tells her to meet now. Hiju asks, how did you come out at this time? Saying this, she starts walking forward. So Yeon comes behind her, but then Hiju starts walking behind him. Yeon asks, what are you doing? Hiju says, I'm practicing walking behind according to rank. Otherwise, you know I am a trendsetter. Who knows when I might start walking in front of everyone because leading everyone is my habit. The next day, Hiju is getting ready to go to the banquet. She is looking at that pink dangi when she remembers yesterday's talk with Yeon. How do you lead everyone? I have never learned. I have always followed others. Hiju says, you just have to walk with me. I will teach you. Then the Queen Mother goes to the banquet and is meeting people. Just then, Hiju makes an entry in a full white suit, even though Hyeon had told her to avoid white. But because Hiju always breaks rules, she does the same this time too. The Queen Mother says to her, you were told to come wearing a dangi. Hiju says, yes, but I found out that it is not mandatory. Did you not like my dress? Now, because the media was behind, the Queen Mother says laughing, no, it's not like that. Then after eating food, these people come out for a side scene where Hiju is standing at the very back. It is sunny, so she is feeling hot. Seeing this, the Queen Mother tells her to walk a little forward. Just then, Grand Prince Yeon comes from the other side and coming to Hiju says, look, I have come to walk with you. Now teach me how to lead everyone. Hiju holds his hand and both come out from among everyone and start walking ahead. Yeon says in his mind, now I will neither bow nor back down nor compromise. Then a past scene of their high school time is shown where after winning the archery match, Hiju is practicing and Yeon is watching her secretly. As soon as Hiju turns, he hides. But Hiju has seen him. She comes out, so Yeon acts like he just came from outside. Hiju greets him and starts to leave, so Yeon stops her and says, you did very well in the match. Hiju says, do you want credit for it? Yeon says, when did I say that? I was just giving you a compliment. Did you not even understand that much? Hiju says, maybe not. And after saying this, she starts to leave, then comes back and greets by bowing her head and leaves. Yeon wanted to stop her but finds no excuse. So he goes inside where Min was already there watching him. Yeon asks, when did you come? Min says, I was here since you were hiding and watching Hiju. Yeon asks, are you too close? Min says, yes, quite close. We live in the same dormitory. Yeon asks, by the way, how is she? Min says, very beautiful. Yeon says smilingly, yes, she is. And after saying this, he becomes a bit awkward. Then in the evening, these people were getting ready for a ball party. Yeon was waiting for Hiju outside, calling her again and again to hurry up. Hearing this inside, Hiju, who was being readied by Court Lady Choi and everyone else, shouts, just a few more seconds. Yeon calls again, so Hiju says, this guy? And starts going forward, but Court Lady Choi and others calm her down. Just then, Hyeon comes to call them. He says, you guys are not ready yet? Yeon says, I don't know, man. How long Hiju has been getting ready inside. Then Hiju comes out. Seeing her, everyone just keeps looking. Then over here, the Junior King was also being readied. The court lady says to him, there was no need for you to go. The Junior King says, Uncle Yeon has specifically asked me to come, so I am going. Here, the Queen Mother had called Prime Minister Min as a ball partner. So both come down. Everyone greets them. Just then a girl says, thank you for inviting me here, to the Queen Mother. And this was the same girl she had introduced to Yeon. So she asks Min, how would that girl be for Yeon? Just then, the announcement of Yeon and Hiju's arrival is made, so both make a royal entry where both were looking very good. After that, the dance starts, which is begun by Yeon and Hiju. Watching them, the Queen Mother says to Min, this was Yeon's request. He wanted to give Hiju a breakup gift, so he invited her here. While dancing, both were talking. Yeon says, at least learning to dance was of some use. Hiju asks, do you like dancing? Yeon says, not at all. Hiju says, neither do I. Everyone present there was praising them after seeing them, how good they look together, how well they are dancing. Yeon says, everyone's eyes are on us. It seems this is working. Then, coming more close, they start dancing. Yeon says to Hiju, your eyes should only be on me. It should look like we both are very much in love. Hiju says, but only dancing will not be enough. Yeon says, I know. Then their dance ends, and just then, Yeon comes on his knee and taking out a ring, proposes to Hiju for marriage. And this ring was no ordinary ring, but the late queen's ring, meaning Yeon's mother's. Seeing this, everyone is shocked, and the biggest shock goes to the queen mother and Min. Everyone else is cheering for them. Fireworks start in the sky, and Hiju says, "Yes, I will marry you." So Yi-an puts the ring on her, and everyone congratulates them. Yi-an holds Hiju's hand and goes to the junior king to get his blessings. If the king said yes, then it will count as a royal command, and if anyone opposes, they will be considered against the king. That is why Yi-an had specifically called the junior king. The junior king gives them blessings and says, "Uncle Yi-an and Miss Song, may you both always be happy." Both say thank you to him. The media people are covering all this live. Min comes out, so the queen mother comes behind him and says, "Use your veto power." But Min says, "I cannot do that because the king and the ministry will have to stay as one, otherwise people will question the king. Therefore, it is better not to stop the marriage." The queen mother agrees out of necessity. Then in the party, Yi-an invites the queen mother for a dance where she says, "You can tell lies very well." Yi-an says, "I am doing what I said. I am protecting Hiju." The queen mother says, "I will not let it go like this." Yi-an says, "You cannot do anything. Will you go against the king?" Then he says, "I just want to have my wedding in my own way." The queen mother says, "A grand prince's wedding is not a personal matter." Yi-an says, "How did you change my brother's will?" Hearing this, the queen mother is shocked, thinking, "I burned that will in which Yi-an was to be made the next king, and the king died in that same fire." And she thought no one knew, but Yi-an knew everything. Yi-an tells her to smile because everyone was watching. Here, Hiju calls Min for a dance. Min holds her hand, and Hiju remembers a flashback when she got stuck in a lift on exam day, and Min saved her and took her to the class. In the present, both dance. Hiju asks, "Are you still against the marriage?" Min doesn't say anything. Hiju says, "If you don't support me, then I will have no one." Then partners are exchanged. Min is only looking at Hiju, which the queen mother notices. Then Min says, "Promise that you will never lie to me. Then I will always be on your side." Hiju says, "Yes." Then Hiju and Yi-an are standing by the lake. Hiju is very happy seeing the ring and says, "In my childhood, I saw the queen wearing this." Then she asks, "Are you sure you want to give it to me?" Yi-an says, "Of course not. This is a national treasure. Return it after the divorce." Hiju says, "Take it now then." Then Yi-an says, "Keep it with you for now." Both enjoy the cold wind. Yi-an fixes her hair, so Hiju becomes a bit shy. Over at the office, Yeon and Hae-jung discuss the public reaction, which is very positive. The media is talking about them everywhere. In the evening, Hiju returns to Yeon's residence, where everyone welcomes her. Hae-jung says, "I will stay with you for safety." She finds out that a staff named Arum is a spy, but Hiju, instead of removing her, tells her staff. Then Yi-an calls Hiju and calls her to the palace the next day to discuss the wedding. Min also comes there and says, "This royal wedding is a state affair." During the wedding planning, Min says, "This is the budget." Hearing this, Hiju is shocked. She tells Yeon Min knows everything. Because of this, Yeon doesn't feel good. Then both decide to make a legal contract in which a divorce after 3 years and conditions are set. Just then, the queen mother arrives and calls them for dinner. At dinner, the queen mother provokes Yi-an about his past and about his brother's death, but Hiju holds his hand and calms him down and takes him away from there in anger. Coming outside, she says, "Just let the marriage happen, then I will settle accounts with everyone." Hearing this, Yeon becomes happy. Then both go out in a car. Hiju takes him to her private yard where both chill. She feeds him strawberries and tells him to break rules. Then she asks him, "Why are you marrying a low-status girl like me?" Yeon doesn't answer. She then takes him on a yacht where both enjoy a Titanic pose. Suddenly both fall, so Yeon hugs her and kisses her, at which she is shocked. Then Yeon returns to his private residence with Hiju. It had become quite late, so both were already looking quite awkward due to the yacht incident. Miss Yeon asks, "Did you guys go to some good place?" Both say together, "No." Then Hiju, handling the situation, says he wanted some fresh air, so we went for a drive. Miss Yeon says, "Still, you should have told us before going. Especially Secretary Choi's condition was worsening from tension." Then Yi-an says to Hiju, "You should rest. You must be very tired." Hiju says bye to everyone and goes to her room, but she is not able to sleep because again and again the kiss moment is coming to her mind, and she is feeling embarrassed. Then she explains to herself, "It was nothing big, it just became a moment." Over here, Yeon is also not able to sleep, but he is happy and blushing. He comes out and calls Hiju from outside the room, but she doesn't answer due to embarrassment, so he goes back. Next morning, Hiju wants to leave for the office secretly, but Yeon is already waiting. He calls from behind. so Hiju's foot starts slipping, but Yeon catches her, and her gaze goes to Yeon's lips. Then, coming to her senses, she says, "I have to go to the office," and quickly leaves from there. Then she reaches straight to the church, and going into the confession box says, "I am not religious, but can my exorcism be done? Because I feel I have been possessed." The kiss scene is running in her mind. She also talks about donation, but the father sends her out from there. Outside, she meets Prime Minister Min. Just then, a call from Yeon comes to her, and he says, "We should choose the wedding dress." Hiju says yes, but hearing Min's voice, Yeon does not feel good. During the drive, Min says, "Don't get too attached to Yeon, otherwise there will be a problem at the time of divorce." She says, "I am not an idiot," and goes to the office. There she says, "Give me the list of Castle Beauty's affiliate partners," and plans to meet everyone personally so that the business does not go down after that. Then she also calls her brother. On the other hand, the Junior King is deciding the wedding date, and after a little delay, the final date is fixed. Hiju first goes to her partner's store and explains to everyone. Then her brother comes with his wife, so Hiju transfers her shares in his name but warns, "If the business fails, I will not leave you." He and his wife become happy. Hye-jung asks, "Will you give away everything?" So Hiju says, "This will make everyone understand my value." Then she goes to the palace to choose the wedding dress, where she blushes, seeing Yeon, and avoids his gaze. Yeon comes near her and fixes her hair, which makes her blush more and her heart beat fast. Then, hearing about fertility and the health checkup, Hiju becomes even more awkward. Later, Yeon asks her what the problem is, so she says, "You are behaving too nicely with me and your eyes." Then she stops. Yeon says, "Is it because of last night?" She says, "No, we are adults, this is normal." But Yeon says, "I don't do this with any stranger. I did it only with you because it is you." Then Hiju's heart beats fast again. In the evening, the Queen Mother talks to Yeon and says, "You both are different. Your marriage will not be perfect." Yeon says, "Was your marriage perfect?" In a flashback, it is shown that their relationship was also not perfect. The Queen Mother says, "There is no happiness in royal marriages." On the other side, Hiju is also thinking about Yeon and thinks of calling him but falls asleep. Next day, there is a dinner at Hiju's house where everyone is preparing. Yeon and Hiju go there and the family welcomes them. During the dinner, an argument takes place between Hiju and her brother. Her dad says to Yeon, "Take care of Hiju," but then says, "I am more worried about the palace's dangers." Hiju goes to her room in anger. Yeon goes to her and both talk. She asks, "Do you have second thoughts after seeing my messy family?" Yeon says, "It doesn't matter to me." Then Hiju asks straight away, "Do you like me? And is this your first time?" Yeon says, "Yes, I like you, and this is my first time." Hiju starts blushing. Now there is no awkwardness. Both are happy. Yeon is about to hold her hand, but a call from Min comes. Later, Yeon says, "Now we will meet on the wedding day," and feels a bit sad. Hiju smiles. Then she enjoys barbecue with her team. Next day, Yeon goes to Min's office and says, "I like Hiju." Min says, "Will this change anything?" Yeon says, "Then you will have to give her respect." Then he leaves. Hiju is getting her ads removed because now she is going to be a part of the royal family. Yeon messages, "Earn a little more until the wedding." She laughs. Finally, the wedding day arrives. Yeon is blushing while getting ready. The Queen Mother says to Min, "I will wait for when you will not be able to control your feelings." Then the wedding takes place. Both leave for the palace where there is a crowd of people and both are welcomed like celebrities. Everyone is happy except that spy girl. A grand welcome takes place in the palace and Hiju gets the title of Grand Princess. Then they go to the assembly where everyone congratulates, but suddenly Hiju gets a cough and she faints. Yeon catches her and everyone is shocked. The Queen Mother tells to call the royal physician immediately. Yeon calls Hye-jung and tells them to call Hiju's dad to Castle Hospital. Yeon says in front of everyone, "From now on, whoever does bad to my wife will have to face my anger." Saying this, he takes Hiju and leaves from there. The media people were in the palace, so the news spreads immediately. Min says, "Clear the traffic so that Yeon's car can reach the hospital directly," and stations royal guards outside the hospital. Hiju is taken to the ICU. Over at Yeon's private residence, Hye-jung tells everyone will stay here and everything Hiju ate or wore will be preserved. No one will go out. Hye-jung notices that Aram is very nervous. Hiju's dad and brother reach the hospital and ask Yeon what happened. The doctors say a digoxin overdose has happened, which is a medication for heart rhythm, but death can also occur from an overdose. But the treatment was received on time, so she is safe. Everyone feels relief, but Hiju's dad slaps Yeon in anger. Yeon stops the guards and says, "I will not take this matter lightly." The Queen Mother is also worried and thinks about who gave the poison. Min says to Yi-an in anger, "You could not protect her." Yi-an says, "That is why I've come. There will be a full investigation of the palace. Everyone from the staff to the royal family will be checked." Min announces, "There will be a public inquiry and the police will investigate the palace," which is happening for the first time. The investigation starts, the staff is taken to the police station and everyone's background is checked. Aram is the most nervous and looks suspicious. Then Hiju regains consciousness. Yi-an comes running and hugs her and becomes emotional, saying, "I thought I would lose you." Just then, the police take Yi-an for questioning. Hiju is told a digoxin overdose has happened, and she thinks, "Perhaps this was for Yi-an because I never took this medicine." She remembers, at the wedding time, the goblets were exchanged, meaning the poison was for Yi-an, but Hiju drank it by mistake. Yi-an says in the interrogation, "The target was me. If I had drunk it, I wouldn't have survived." Min tells Yi-an, "Go back to the palace because that is where it's safe." Hiju recovers in the hospital and later shifts to the palace where her security is tightened. She also acts to be ill in front of the public so that she gets sympathy. Hae-jung handles the PR and gets articles published. The Queen Mother also acts that she will handle the duties, but Yi-an refuses. Cute moments happen between Hiju and Yi-an, where Hiju says, "Everyone is watching me, so I have to be elegant." Yi-an says, "Everyone is protecting you." Hiju says, "You are the one who needs protection." He says, "I am happy that the target was not you." Hiju becomes emotional and says, "If something had happened to you, I would have been left alone." The bond between both becomes strong. In the forensic report, it is found that the poison was in the goblets themselves. At night, Yi-an and Hiju are together, and their first night's cute, awkward moment happens. The sound of the ECG machine's beep is going on, and Yi-an says, "I like this sound because it is proof that you are alive." Hiju kisses him and both sleep peacefully. The next morning, Yi-an watches her while she is sleeping and smiles. Later, Hiju gets ready for royal duties and Yan becomes her assistant. He says, "You must behave properly, smile, and follow royal protocol." Hiju keeps breaking rules in her usual way. Both go to the Royal Academy event where Hiju goes to give the opening speech. Just then, everyone starts checking their phones and it is found the marriage contract has been leaked. The media starts asking them questions. Hiju gets panicked, but Yi-an holds her hand, calms her down, and takes her away from there. The story will continue in part 2.